Charles Cilliers is the national spokesperson of the Patriotic Alliance. I guess you guys are still celebrating after the by-election victory, Charles.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we finished in the early hours of this morning. There were 9 voting districts, so one of them took forever to count. So feeling a little political hangover there, but very, very happy.
Now, when I had a look back to 2021, you got a few more votes than you did then. So going into this, and we're talking about Ward 7 in Johannesburg, which is the metro that many people are looking at the moment, because it is so hotly contested. You guys went up. Action SA did very well. They doubled, but well behind you. The ANC halved their vote, and the DA just about fell out of bed. Now, there appears to be a story behind the story here, and maybe we can start off by talking about the candidates. Your candidate, was she a particularly strong candidate?
Yes, look, I've known Lois for quite some time now, and she's one of my favorite people. She's always been a volunteer for the PA, always everywhere. She has a real heart for the people, and I think she's quite loved in that community. So she was an obvious choice for us, and she worked so hard, and she ran a positive campaign. No bad mouthing of anybody else. It was just about service, and she worked really hard and always with a smile. And I think she's going to be a wonderful councillor.
What are the demographics of that campaign?
So Ennerdale is a largely coloured community, and then you've got Meriteng, that's quite small, and it's a more Black African community. And Finetown is traditionally that ANC stronghold that's also very African Black. So it's about 50-50. I mean, some people will say it's 40-60 one way or the other, but predominantly quite a big coloured community. And that's why you see quite a big PA presence there. But we worked very hard as well in Finetown and Meriteng, and we increased our share of the vote there quite significantly. Action SA in particular ate quite a bit from the ANC too.
That's interesting. In those communities, the stronghold, as you say, of the ANC. What is that telling us, or is this just a one-off?
I think it's a fascinating place. I mean, for us, we've come agonizingly close in Ward 7 twice before. So there was a by-election previously that we narrowly lost, and then there was 2021 where we lost with fewer than 400 votes. And we felt that the difference there wasn't so much the ANC, but the candidate, and that's Amelia Zama. And she decided earlier this year, after praying about it for a long time, and her story is very interesting, and she'd be worth interviewing too, but she prayed about it, she spoke to her family, she's a deeply spiritual woman, and she decided that her future lies with the PA. And she made a decision that she's going to stay with the PA now for the rest of her life. And that shook the foundations of that war, because I think that what I said to her last night is I think we always felt we could beat the ANC, but it was very difficult to beat the ANC and Amelia. And then to have Amelia in the fold, and, you know, she is such a PA person, you know, everything about her screams PA. To have her basically home, to have her where she's, you know, culturally fits the easiest. It made the task for the ANC absolutely insuperable. Nobody was going to stop us there. Not when you're combining a force like Amelia with the PA. We always knew we're gonna win this war, but we worked very hard. We knew we had to work very hard. You can't take things for granted in politics. But for us, it was a foregone conclusion, really.
The 270 councillors in Johannesburg. So now you've got another councillor. You go up from 8 to 9. That ANC goes down by 1. Is it going to make any difference?
I don't think that it changes anything significantly. The coalition that we're currently in has quite a comfortable majority. So we're able to pass budget and so on. But what it does do is, I think it strengthens the position of the PA in any coalition, whether it's with the ANC or with any other party. It may not seem like a lot, but there's a big difference in the balance of power between 8 and 9 councillors. And we have a real shot at, within the next few months, possibly even having 11 councillors. because there's a Westbury by-election coming up, and we have an excellent candidate lined up for that, and we should be able to take that one. And I'd like to, at some point, think that we can have another crack at Ward 68. So 11 is a very real possibility for the PA in Joburg, perhaps before the next national election.
This is the second by-election, according to the research that I did, that you guys have won. The previous one was in Matsikama in the Western Cape, where you kind of scraped in because there were a lot of candidates with only less than 30% of the vote. But this could have been your fourth if you and the DA had just combined forces. It's actually now, for the outsiders, when we have a look at this, those who believe that a change in government is important, it's quite frustrating. And I'll just give you the numbers just to remind those who haven't been that close to it. In the vote in Swellendam, PA got 766, DA got 736, so together 1,500. The ANC, though, won the ward with 910 votes. And then in Kokama, the PA got 791, DA 254, so together, call it 1,150. The ANC again won it because of the split vote with 978. Charles, are you guys ever going to sit around the same table and perhaps work together, or is the PA saying we're going to continue doing what is best for us, and if that means that the ANC carries on in power, well, so be it?
Yeah, look, I'm not too sure about the first part of what you said there. We have won a few by-elections. If you're saying we won 3 before, anyway, I'm not sure. We won our first by-election in 2020 in Ward 68.
Sorry, I'm talking about post-2021, post the November elections. Yeah,
Got
just
you.
The recent cycle.
Look, I think for us, winning the ward in Kensington there in Cape Town was a very big deal for us, and that was because we there as well. We were not really contesting the DA. They didn't have a campaign. I think what happened in Ward 7 yesterday is something that I would say the DA needs to reflect on quite deeply, because we've always said that, you know, we're not here to be natural enemies with any party. We're willing to work with anyone, including the DA. But what happened for them, it's all self-destruction. And their councillor, Rara Markgraf, withdrew. In the end, they had to take all the posters down in Ward 7. And they came out with some outlandish theory that Gayton or someone in the PA had bribed this man to the tune of 5 million rand to step down. And it's absurd, because we were on track to win that ward. Sorry, I'm a bit ill. We were on track to win that ward with a comfortable majority, with or without the DA. So why on earth would you give some opposition councillor 5 million rand to withdraw? What happened there was that he was disgruntled. He felt betrayed by the DA because of exactly what you're talking about, which is that they were not putting anything really into his campaign. They'd already kind of conceded that they were never going to win Ward 7. They've never really had a realistic shot at winning Ward 7. But the outcome that they wanted was for the ANC to win it or to retain it, because for them, the unthinkable prospect was the PA winning yet another ward. So they're trying everything in their power to slow the progress of the PA. We are their biggest headache at the moment. And he was disgusted, and I don't blame him that he's being told, just make sure that the PA doesn't win this thing, even if it means the ANC winning. That's fine. He felt that he can't be part of something like that, so he withdrew. So yes, he did have a meeting with Gayton to tell him exactly this. And I hope that they do join the PA, but we've promised them nothing. We've promised him and his wife nothing. But I think they will join the PA, and they'll be welcome to join the PA, because I think that he's a good person. I think he resigned for ethical reasons. But it brings me to your question, which is the problem between us and the DA is largely from the DA side, because they are trying everything in their power to vilify the PA. And they're doing this very strange thing as we speak, where they want to organize a march in the central Karoo against the money that Gayton raised to to fundraise the repair work that he did to a number of infrastructure things in the central Karoo, the toilets, the pools. And they managed to manufacture some kind of crazy story with News 24 that seems to suggest that Gayton has stolen the money or whatever. And they want him to pay back the money now, even though not one funder is unhappy. Every single funder or donor saw all the work. They saw 5 pools being fixed. They saw, I don't know, close to 100 flushing toilets being installed there. And they're over the moon about the results of the money that they gave Gayton. So I'm not too sure who was dropped on their head there in the DA to think that they have to now go and march to pay back money for donors who are perfectly happy. And it's all manufactured, and it's propaganda, and it's the DA really hoping to slow our progress so that they can retain a majority in next year's elections in the Western Cape. But I don't think that negative campaigning works. And I think Action SA learned that lesson because they put up posters saying vote PA, get ANC, and they concentrated those posters in the areas where we ended up getting enormous, like 90% of the share of the vote. And I sent Michael Bowman a message to say, look, thank you for the campaign posters, because they're creating quite a vibe for us. And unfortunately, if you start using other parties' names in your posters, you're actually just drawing attention to that party. For me, it's a ridiculously silly thing to do. But in short, Alec, the DA needs to face up to the fact that we are here, and bad-mouthing us is not making us go away.
It's so interesting, the point you make about positive campaigning as against negative campaigning. We know in South African politics, negative campaigning has worked over the years, over the decades, and perhaps that's shaping some opinions and some thoughts. But we're so far down in this country, and we really need to get a little bit of hope and go into the future that maybe that kind of message, as you say, didn't work in Ward 7. And of course, by-elections are tiny little reflections, little snapshots of what might be going on. But when you step away from it as a neutral, you see Action SA and the PA doing very well and the DA doing very well in the urban areas. But in the rural areas, the ANC seems to be making some kind of a comeback. If you just read these by-election results, what's your thought on that? And then your ideal situation that would get to where South Africa can get to a place where it does get a new government in 2024 that can start taking the country on a non-socialist, destructive economic path?
Yeah, look, I think that there's a lot of issues there. Hard to know exactly what to zoom in on, but the point about positive campaigning is very important for us. We want people to vote for the PA because they like the PA. They like what we do, and they like how we do it. We don't want them to vote for the PA because they don't like some other party, and we're some alternative to that. We do style ourselves as an alternative to everybody else because you simply have to be. So we feel we're better than the ANC. We feel we're better than the DA. Action, you name it. But we're not going to go out there and try to undermine the name of those parties. We have to build ourselves. And I feel that most voters in this country don't appreciate the mudslinging. They want to know, look, who are you? What do you offer? And the ANC, for all their flaws, for all their faults, which are multifold, do not do negative campaigning. They do not go out there and say, oh, the DA is going to bring back apartheid. They could so easily say that, right? They could put posters up there saying, this is the new face of the National Party, right? I mean, they could say any number of things, right? Whether it's true or not, whatever your opinion is about that. But I'm saying that you can manufacture insults about anybody, and they may or may not be true. But they go out there and they say, we're the ANC and we think we're great and we're gonna improve your lives. And I think that they get a lot of respect from voters for doing that. And whatever the reasons may be that they're clinging on in rural areas, I think that's a trend that you see with liberation parties throughout the continent. ZANU-PF has the same profile. And that I think the ANC is going to be relegated to being a largely rural party that will still give them a lot of influence and say. I know that they always traditionally poll lower than they actually get come voting day. So I don't know how close they're going to get to 50%. But we hope that they're going to drop significantly below 50, because then coalition politics comes into play, and we want to be a big factor in that. But we don't want to get there through the bloody remains of any other party. We want to get there on a positive campaign that is about bringing hope. And I think that is what's central to the PA message, is that we believe that we can bring those reforms that you're talking about, those economic reforms, free market, jobs, growth, right? But not by putting anybody else down. Vote for us, and this is what we're willing to do for you. And if you don't believe us, vote for somebody else. Fine.
I had an interesting chat with John Cilliers this week, and part of it I did ask him, what would Gayton and the PA have to do in his mind to get back into the Moonshot pact? And he had some interesting thoughts on it. But from your perspective, what does the DA have to do to attract the Patriotic Alliance back into the Moonshot pact, and then give them a pretty good chance, or give that pact a good chance, or a chance anyway, of unseating the ANC next year?
I think it's all fairly obvious. It's what we've always asked for from them, which is treat us as an equal. Don't try to bully us, even if we're in a coalition and you're the big brother and we're the little brother. Treat us like an equal, and basic respect. That is pretty much the premise that we're coming off. And we're willing to work with them. We were even willing to sign a pre-coalition agreement with them that we will not go into a coalition with the ANC in the Western Cape in the event that they need our vote. And in return for that, we're willing to explore coalition options everywhere, the metros, Northern Cape, Northwest, wherever. But unfortunately, I think the DA has just taken the position that if they can sell this notion that we are a proxy for the ANC, that might help them to retain power in the Western Cape. If they can't pull that off, then I think they're going to have to come back to the negotiating table and talk to us, and we'll probably find ourselves talking to a very different DA after next year's election. And it's going to be difficult with everything they've said and done to restart that relationship, but we're always willing to do that.
Well, I guess in the by-elections, you can split the vote. But when it comes to the national and provincial elections, because of the proportional representation in South Africa, there's no split vote. So what's going to happen there is you're going to be tallied up, DA will be tallied up, ANC will be tallied up, and then we will know what our future is. But I guess to get the maturity into the system, and we are a young democracy, is going to take quite a lot of sacrifice and a lot of respect on all sides. Are you willing to start that? Can you maybe be the grown-up in the room?
Yeah, look, I think we've been maturing in the intense boiling pot that coalition politics have been the last year and a half. We've come a long way, and I think we are trying our best to lower the temperature and get back to talking, because really it's back to that old African proverb of when the elephants fight, the grass suffers. So we don't want people on the ground to suffer. So I think that's a decision that we have taken that we're trying to work towards. But all we can really do is wait for other parties to kind of come to their senses, really. I have no other way of putting it.
Charles Cilliers is the co-founder and national spokesperson of the Patriotic Alliance, and I'm Alec Hogg from BizNews.com.